All right, so welcome everyone. Excited to have you here. I'm Makena Sage, and we have Gigi Sage, who some of you know, in Amsterdam, and Danijela in Germany. And we wanted to host this kind of live online party to share a little bit. We have a really exciting event coming up in the fall, and we've gotten a lot of questions about it, so we wanted to share more and also answer your questions live if you have any, and also talk about what inspired it and this whole theme of raising your vibe, finding your tribe, and creating your space to really thrive. So what does that mean? What inspired that? And just a little bit more of our stories, also personal stories from our lives where we've had what we call like a frequency shift or a big perspective shift that really changed things for our lives, for our businesses. So we'll be talking about a lot of that stuff today. So thanks for being here. We're super, super excited. We will be answering questions. If you have questions, we'll probably save that a little bit to later, but if we see them in the midst and we want to answer a quick one, we'll do that. So if you're on with us on Zoom, see we've got several of you on here, then you can type them in the chat. So you can click the chat box and type them in there. And if you're on Facebook, you can type them in the comments, and we'll be watching in both places. So very excited. So Gigi and Danijela, do you want, oh wait, one thing before we move forward. I want to have them introduce themselves. So we have a fun little exercise for you guys, and we're going to share kind of how it all works. We're going to close it up at the end, but here's what I want you to do for right now. So I want you to think about who is a character from a movie, probably, or a TV show, or maybe a book. Yeah, that you really admire. Someone that you're like, oh, I wish I could be like them, right? Or it could be someone in real life. It could be, you know, a celebrity or something like that. So think about at least one, and I want you to write that name down. So you can be thinking about it while we're doing the live stream, and we'll tell you more about what this is about in a little while. But go ahead and think of at least one, write that down, and also write down what are the qualities, what are like the top 1 to 3 qualities that you really admire about that person. Okay, so we have a fun little kind of game we'll be doing here. All right, so introductions. Gigi, do you want to share a little bit about your story? And
yeah, I don't know if it'll be a little bit, but you guys might be just shut up. No, I'm going to share, and I'm going to share in the context of telling some stories about how I've incorporated this self-expression and things like that in my business through my career and also in my life, because I think it's great to start to see examples. But before I start, I'd love to ask a question too, and they can think about, and if anyone has an answer, they can put it in the chat. So have you ever had a perspective shift like Makena's talking about, where you felt more alive and more like yourself than ever before? And if so, what were you doing? And then how did that impact your life and business? Okay. So you can just say, hey, yeah, it was this, and the impact was this. You can keep it simple, right? And that's where I want to begin, because this is what happened to me in 1985 is I had this perspective shift, and I've spent the last 33 years helping other people actually create this shift in their own lives and businesses and relationships. In 1985, I attended a personal development seminar on the topic of self-actualization that completely changed my life. I know that sounds so cliche, right? And the way I saw and experienced the world, but it really, really did. And when I walked out of that class, I felt more alive and more like myself than I ever had. And I did have this perspective shift. When I went into the seminar, I was confused. I didn't really know what I wanted and tired. And when I left, I saw all the possibilities that were available to me in the world. So I had this awakening like, wow, you know, I was coming from a completely different place. And I also, the notion, the theme of the class was that I could create a business and a life around what I love doing. And nobody ever told me this before. And again, remember, this is 1985, right? And so this lit a fire in me. And I quickly became a student. I thought, I want to learn this. And I wanted to share what I'd learned with everyone I met. And everybody got tired of me talking about it. Like, please
We've all
don't
been
talk to us about it again, right? I know many people have been there, right? So I knew also, I always had this feeling I wanted to design a lifestyle and a business that was different than anything I had seen. And at this point, I knew I really wanted to include my family in that. So what I did is I made a list of all the things I enjoyed, and I started designing my business around more of my self-expression and my unique gifts and talents. And some of the things that I saw as I had been experienced this transformation, so it's something that I really wanted to share with other people. And I love working with people. I love beauty. I love fashion, traveling with my family, singing. My kids all know I used to make them sit and watch me sing karaoke all the time.
Gigi was known for her high heels. Can I just interject? I just was wearing these like really awesome high heels the other night, and all the girls were like, oh my gosh. And I was like, these are my training shoes, because I learned from my mom having the most incredible shoes in front of the workshop. She was known for it. So
That's right. Yeah. So what I did is step by step, I started to include these activities into the work I developed. And in a few years, we had built an international brand. We were leading workshops and certifying coaches around the world. And even in my weekend seminars, what I started to do is I would have karaoke parties on Saturday night, because guess who got to sing? I did. And the funny thing is, whatever I did, the participants loved it as well, right? So it was so much fun to watch everyone come alive when they got on stage. And one of the interesting facts, and this was true almost in every workshop, is the most serious, quiet person, when they would get on stage and you would put a microphone in their hand, they would become completely different, right? Alive, playful, and often you just couldn't get them off stage, right? So I was also leading women's workshops on communication, and the more I was working with women, what I saw is there was this reoccurring pattern. So many of them were working really, really hard, and the harder they worked, the further and further away they got from who they truly were, not self-expressed. And Makena can relate to this because that's what she was dealing with for years, right? And they were longing for this reset, but they didn't know how to do it. They couldn't get out of their lives, right? So out of this need, I designed my first Arts of a Woman retreat in Maui, Hawaii, which we still hold. We just finished one in February, and we do it at a beautiful location every year. And I just want to say the beautiful location is such a key part of supporting the inner journey that the women are going through. And again, going back to, because I loved modeling, I loved fashion and beauty, what I did is I started to include photo shoots. And at first, for many years, I was the photographer because I loved taking pictures. And we would put on fashion shows. And what happened is the women would start to have so much fun dressing up. We just saw this in Thailand too, Makena, still every time, right? Getting their pictures done, and they walk the catwalk. And, you know, we'd also have a day of adventure and team building so the women could get really close. And at the end of the event, what would happen is these women would feel completely self-expressed and more feminine and playful and relaxed again. And what happened is they went back into their lives and they would have deeper connections with their partners, more self-confidence, and a big factor is more fun in their lives and businesses. So the next piece, I'm almost done. I told you I was going to talk for a while. It's a long introduction. Is I really wanted my kids to experience the world and explore their interests and passions. So what we did is we traveled together as a family, and we homeschooled kids before it was cool like it is now. Now it's really the cool thing to do, right? But the distinction that I made is whatever each child was curious about, I supported them to pursue their interests. So my daughter Brianna, she wanted to pursue a music career. And so at one time we started a family band, and we sang together in the US and Europe. And this gave her not only the opportunity to practice, to be on stage all the time, and all the kids, right, Makena, and everybody built confidence by doing that too. But the other thing it did is by creating this project together as a family, we had this quality time together. We didn't have to stop and say, how can we spend quality time? This act and this project gave us that opportunity. And when we were performing up on stage and everything, we would see each other through no eyes, right? I wasn't just mommy or whatever. I was somebody who was performing. And then when Makena was little, she talks about this all the time. I think, what did you, when you were like 7, right, Makena?
Right.
7? You started being in the seminars, right?
Yeah. I think
so Makena
graduated from your 4-year high performance leadership trainings when I was 12.
Yeah, so I had that. So she wanted to be in the adult seminars. Yeah. So we included her in the events, and she was a certified coach in our 4-year program by the time she was 12 years old, right? So I fostered this self-expression, my children, so they could choose what they wanted to do. So Makena, I just want to tell you, when you say you made this shift in the last year, changing your career, you really didn't. You've been a coach since you were 12.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I just made the full shift.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I just admitted it to myself.
Right. And this is what brings me to the Elevate Your Vibe. So we are so committed and passionate for you to connect with your actual self and be living a life of full expression, right? And that's what we mean when we say elevate your vibe. And when you do this, the funny thing that happens is you do have this frequency shift. You go to a different vibration and you live at a different vibration. If you've ever experienced that, that's a very interesting place to be. And we feel environment is really a key factor in that. So, you know, you can go to a seminar, have an amazing time, but if you go back into a living space and it doesn't align with who you are, a lot of your energy is going to be drained because it doesn't support you. So that's why we invited Danijela for her first event in the US to share her incredible work. And when you truly become yourself, you know, like I said, you must create a home and an office that supports this transformation. And I just want to say Danijela is a master at sharing this. And she is actually building a tribe of her own of people who will do this around the world. So she certifies people in her process. So Makena and I are so excited to be hosting her and sharing this beautiful knowledge that she has and ancient wisdom, and that will be one day of the seminar, right? Mm-hmm. And I know that personally has changed my life in space, and I've watched it with many other people as well. And I just want to say one more thing that, you know, for many of us, at a very young age, we were told maybe we couldn't be ourselves. We were told don't stand out, right? Mind your manners, behave, whatever. And so what happens is we create a mask, a way of being, we're seen in the world. And sooner or later, we get lost behind that mask. Years go by, we don't feel aligned with who we are in the world. We forget who we are and what we're doing. We don't feel aligned with what we're doing. So in this event, we're going to get behind that mask and really reignite your creativity and self-expression. Because the truth is, the more you bring you, the real you, into your business and into your life, the more it magnetizes people to you. And it's so important in the time we are right now in the economy, is that we have to stand out in order to be successful. So the more authentic your brand is to who you are, the more actually you'll be successful you'll be. Yeah. So I said it was going to be a long one. Yeah.
I want to touch
someone else
on,
can talk now.
Yeah, Danijela, I want you to introduce yourself, and Gigi touched a little bit on what you do. So you created something called Space Healing. You're a Feng Shui master, and you've been doing this for many, many years, an author. And so I'd love for you to describe just like, how did you get into what you do? First of all, it's such a unique path. And then what is space healing, and how can that, we talk about it like freeing up stuck energy and really helping maintain a high vibration, like Gigi said, when you come out of transformation, or even helping bring your energy up because your space has such a great, clear, clean, high energy. So tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, of course. So Gigi, thank you for the introduction. When you started talking about what we were learned to say or to do when we were small, so this brought me to the beginning. So I was born in Germany, but originally from the Balkans, and the deep connection to the nature was always in my blood. But the idea of my parents was to learn something solid, right? So I studied economics, and it was fine. I got married, our first son, Alex, was born. But then as I was finishing my studies, I was like, oh, I now have to work in a corporate world for forever doing marketing plans. And I was like, oh no. I started to panic. And I was around 25, 26, where I knew there is something else. I didn't know what it was, but it was something else. So I started to search and to look. And then I can remember, I read an article around clutter clearing. So if you clear something in your home, your life gets in a flow. And I was like, no, wait, no, this doesn't work. You just cannot, change something in your home and then your life changes. And I did it more to prove that it's not true. So my husband and me cleared our small apartment for 2 days and brought a lot of things out. And then really some things happened. 2 things happened. It was a apartment we got, and money came into our account, which we were waiting for a long time. And this piqued my curiosity. And I was like, okay, that's something behind it. And this opened up the path to Feng Shui. This brought me to Feng Shui. And there I was studying and learning this really old, it's not a theory, but it's a philosophy of life. And I started, of course, implementing it in our homes, and then doing it with customers. And it was really amazing for me to see what happens to the lives and to the people when they start also bringing the same attention to their homes as they bring to their self-care, for example, or for their personal development. And as I was doing it for many years, I felt that there was something missing. It was a piece missing, but because when we sometimes did the consultations, it wasn't quite done. Something still felt not complete. And or sometimes when I went into beautiful houses, and I was like, oh my God, this house is so beautiful. But there were sad faces looking at me, like, something's not right here. And so I started to search and to look what could it be. And as I started to get curious, this old wisdom of the Taoist masters came to me. It was all about healing the earth, or restoring the earth energies into the natural state. And this is where the space healing came in. That's the method I developed later on. And as Makena said, what is it? Yeah, so it's not very common to know about it. But if you imagine the earth is, we're not the first people who are living on the earth. So our ancestors, they left a footpath. And these are just stored underneath our houses. And then we built a beautiful house, maybe on an old place where the energies are not supporting. And then we think, why if you have a beautiful house but it doesn't feel good? It's because of these old energies which are still influencing us, although we don't see them and we are not aware of them. And that's the thing, we are not aware of it. So creating an awareness around it, and then also knowing how to heal it, or how to bring the earth energy into her natural state, releases these energies and brings back supporting energy into our house. And then we don't just feel supported by our friends or jobs or our life path, but also by our house. And it's like, I always say, like an invisible hand who gives you the support and embraces you and gives you everything you need to thrive.
Yeah, nice.
So, and I was so excited when you shared with me your idea to create this event, where we, for the very first time, I think, I have never seen it before, bring personal development together with space, elevating the vibrations in space.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
So I'll introduce myself, but I want to hear from some of you that are here watching, because I see many of you here. So if you're tuning in, just tell us where you're tuning in from. So you can click on the chat box below on your screen. If you are on Zoom, and if you're on Facebook, you can comment. And I'd just love to hear where you're tuning in from. And if you missed it at the beginning, I asked you to share, and you can go ahead and type it in the chat also if you have your character from a movie or a celebrity or something like that that you really admire, and the qualities or the quality you really admire about them. And I'm going to share more about that in a little while, but I'd love to just go ahead and be hearing from you. So we have Austin, Texas, Montego Bay, Jamaica, Germany.
We have two German ages.
Yeah, very international group here. So, all right. Just wanted to make sure you guys are out there and can hear us and all that.
Chicago.
Awesome. New Jersey.
Yeah.
Very fun. So, and keep us posted as you think of your, of your people. So Julianne Howe, her Zest for Life. Awesome. All right. So while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. So as I said before, I'm Makena Sage. I'm Gigi's daughter. Many of you know me. And I think the piece I want to share about my journey is having grown up in this incredible environment where it was really fostered for me to be self-expressed. I really look back on that and see that I was able to truly be myself at a young age. I was homeschooled. I wasn't in school where a lot of kids are kind of putting your lights out and saying, you can't be that way. So I was able to maybe maintain that for longer than I think most kids are. And at the same time, I always say that none of us escapes our own hero's journey. So despite growing up with these, all of this positive programming around or like messaging around, you can express who you really are and do what you're passionate about, I still went in the other direction and went more and more into my head as time went on. And I grew up and I said, I just want to be normal. I want to fit in with other kids, and I'm going to go get a, stable corporate job, and I'm going to go to business school and achieve something that I thought was the pinnacle of what I should achieve. And so I did that. I went to business school. I did really well on paper in terms of straight A's and all that kind of stuff. But I can see now looking back that my lights were just getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And I was trying to be this serious, grown up, mature, has it all together version of myself, which was definitely an aspect of me, but I really went away from a lot of the truth of who I was and my true self-expression, which was, loving similar things a lot to Gigi, also like, beauty and dress up. And, from a young age, I loved twirly skirts, and I loved obviously personal development and being, working with people and coaching and training. And so I went more and more away from that. I started my first business. I did marketing, and I was very successful. Again, on paper, I was going for doing the hard work hustle thing, and it was great in so many ways. But again, just losing that essence of who I really was. And so I could I could feel my energy actually drain with that. I really approached burnout on multiple occasions and struggled with a lot of that. Some of you have heard me talk about that. And so I share that over the past year, I've been on this journey from, like Gigi said, we've been running programs together for several years, but we officially jumped completely into doing this work together a year ago. And so I've been on this journey slowly over the last 10 years and more so over the last year of going from burned out to bright and alive again. And then more importantly, I think going from this identity I had created of myself as serious and structured, which I can be at times, but I believe that was who I was. And I've been unwinding that and going, wait, that's not who I am at all. If I really look at myself as a young child, which I think is so much of our true essence, I was fun. I was, outgoing. I loved being the center of attention and being on camera. And so really going from serious to self-expressed again. And in this journey, I'm so inspired to create this for other women, because I see that when we're, like Gigi said, when we are self-expressed, I feel like it's what we came here to do in this life, right? We all have our uniqueness, whatever that is for you. It doesn't have to be beauty and all those pieces. It could be something completely different. But we have this essence or this message we want to share. And in doing that, like Gigi said, we become the most magnetic version of ourselves. We become the most fulfilled, I think, that we can be. And also it really attracts financial success, because when you are it's not about putting something on. It's not about creating your brand or creating, something you're trying to be. It's actually about being the most genuinely, authentically you. And when you do that, like you said, you become magnetic, people are attracted to it. So it actually grows your brand if you're in business. It grows your success if you're in a company. And I think that when we do that, the last piece I want to share about that is that we naturally want to give back to others. The more fulfilled and filled up we are, the more generosity of spirit we have, the more we want to give that gift to the people around us. I've definitely experienced that in my own life. And so it's this full circle experience of what it is to self-express and to elevate your vibe. And I'm so excited about the aspect of bringing in the environment and those pieces as well, because I've seen firsthand Danijela's work and it is incredible. I'm so excited to bring it to all of you. So I want to move on to some other kinds of stories here after our introductions. And let's just see here.
Yes, we have some names. Yeah, and some names. Yeah.
An international expert on relationships. She's authentic and stylish speaker and very inspiring author based on scientific research. Love that.
That's like you, Brenda. That's
yeah,
like you.
I want to hear more of you. If you're watching, who is your character or your from a movie or a book or something like that, or celebrity that you really admire? What do you admire about them? So I want to move on to some of our personal stories of frequency shifts, because some of you might have read that and gone, well, what is a frequency shift? What is this?
Yeah.
And how did they opened up new possibilities, like I said, for our lives and businesses?
Yeah. So let's ask Danijela first. So Danijela, when was a time where, when we say frequency shift, it can be when you had this experience. It's different. Some people call it peak experiences. They call perspective shift, but where you really saw the world differently. It's like you were seeing the world one way, and then all of a sudden this whole new way opened up.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about it, and there were, of course, many of those, but there was one really which opened up a huge possibility, a world of possibilities for me. So I said, our first son was born. We have 4 sons, right? In the age between 3.5 and 18. And the first 3 boys were born in my old world. So I wanted to stay at home with them. I did my business in the evenings and the nights when my husband came home, and I was supporting him, and it was okay, but it wasn't me, right? So, and then I really felt not the need, but I really wanted to have another child, but I was so scared to fall back because my business started to pick up. I was working with you, and I was so excited about building my business, but there was this wish in my heart for a 4th child, so for another one, and and I was just so scared if I get pregnant that I will fall back, that I will lose, and I was at the end of my 30s. So there was not time anymore to fall back. I didn't want to go back anymore. And so, Luca happened, and I remember calling him and saying, "Oh, I'm pregnant." And back then, I was just signing up for a program to work with you. And for me, it was no way for breaking up. I knew doing the program together through this pregnancy, it will help me and give me the support I needed to do this shift, to experience life with a child, being very, very successful and doing my path and being a mother and a businesswoman together, not choosing between either or, but doing both together. So, and this was one of my biggest frequency shifts I ever had. And let's say the story out of it is that I really flew with Luca. He was 2.5 months old, to the Virgin Islands to retreat with you. And,
and we all took care of the baby.
Yeah, it was great. And I was just looking at the pictures today, and it was like in a dream. I would have never imagined that this would be possible, to do it with the support of my husband. And everything was really, really great. And this showed me that anything in life is possible.
Nice.
Absolute. Frequent.
Yeah. And also team in terms of, I remember one of the ladies flew with you to support you with the baby and everything. So also having that tribe of women that's really there for you too. And that was also really helped with that.
The connection. It's not me, but the connection and the, the support and the tribe. This is what made it possible. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Yeah. Makena, what about you? What have you had?
Yeah, I think the story I'd love to share is also involves not a program but an event that I attended, as well as a photo shoot. Of course, always a photo shoot. So this was about a year out of college, less than a year into my first business. And I was hustling and working 60, 70 hours a week and just trying to kind of grow my life. And not making a ton of money yet, but starting to approach the 6-figure mark. And I remember seeing, I just moved to San Diego. I didn't know anyone other than my boyfriend at the time, and was struggling to kind of connect and find my community. And so imagine I was just at the very beginning of my journey, and like I said, kind of had really gotten away from my self-expression in many ways. And so I remember seeing this event that was coming up that fall from a couple of women that I had been following, and they were doing it in northern San Diego in Sonoma. And for whatever reason, I saw this event and I just felt this like strong pull, like you need to go to this. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was a lot of money at the time. I think it was like $1,500 or something like that for 2 days. And I was like, I don't know, but they had a payment plan, and I just was like, I just feel I have to go to this, right? So I signed up, I did the payment plan, and I don't remember exactly how I found these photographers also that were up in that area. I think I'd seen their work, and I'd never done a professional photo shoot at the time. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do this when I'm up there. So I signed up for this photo shoot. I justified it by, I'll get some headshots for my business. But they did all these really creative, interesting photos too. So long story short, I go up to northern, Bay Area that fall, and I had this photo shoot, and there's this photo that got taken in that shoot, and I'm in this field, and I'm throwing my skirt, and I'm in this like, costumey kind of outfit. And I just remember seeing that photo after it was taken, and I was like, whoa, I look so fierce and feminine and strong and powerful. And I remember seeing that, and like literally I get chills still talking about it, because I was like, wow, that to me, like I had never seen that side of myself before. And so this is one of the reasons I'm so passionate about photo shoots and modeling and all of that. Is not just about let's get beautiful photos taken. It's really about embodying something that exists within you and seeing yourself in that way. So that photo happened, and then I went to the event. They shared the preview, just the one picture with me. I posted in the Facebook group. They ended up getting like 5 or 10 women that signed up to work with them just out of seeing that. And it was just this shift for me. And then the last piece that was really a perspective shift was going to this event, following that inner pull, right? I think we all experience this at times, where we see a person or an event or something, and we're like, I need to work with them, or I need to go do this. And we don't really understand why. And it may be a stretch, or it may not make a lot of sense. But out of that event, I literally can look back and trace so many clients came through that event, friends, my whole community opened up out of not people I met there, but they introduced me to people in San Diego. And I mean, just this whole chain of events. I'm still connected to many, many of the people to this day, and this was 2013. So that was like a really powerful experience of both like following intuition, even when it was a stretch and out of my comfort zone, and also that piece of self-expression where I got to see myself in a new way. And it really made a shift for me in my business. I got to then live into the version of myself that I saw in that photo.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great point, because you had loved photos, like you said, but you actually went and got professional photos done, and it did put you on that path to starting to really express yourself again.
And I remember to live into, and even then a year later, I signed up for a much more expensive photo shoot with someone I met at that event. Actually, she was is an incredible photographer. And it was to this day, the most I've ever spent on a photo shoot. But it was this whole day experience. And out of that, I got so many clients out of those photos, and it gave me, again, something to live into. So sometimes it's like this jump, this leap of, whether it's an event or a photo shoot or whatever it is, of being able to live into that future for yourself, as opposed to just you as you know yourself right now.
Yeah. Awesome. Great. Well, I'm going to share one's very different, and some of you have heard it, but I always go back to it because it was really a profound shift for me in my life. And I had the opportunity to go to Singapore and lead an event many years ago. And I was her mentor at one time. And then we even did business together at one time. And she was there, living there with her husband and their daughter. And so I went over to do it. And then we had time. We had these 5 days. And she said, hey, let's go to Thailand. I have a friend there. He's married to a Thai woman. We can stay with them. And so I was like, okay, sure. I'd love to go to Thailand. So we went over to Thailand and we stayed in their home. They had this beautiful home in Bangkok. And the Thai woman was just, the amazing, receptive, gorgeous. And they had this lifestyle that was it was perfect. It's not so that it was so fancy. It's just they enjoyed life. And my friend and I, we went to Wat Po in Bangkok, and we went and had Thai massage. And it was the first time I'd ever had Thai massage in my life. And when I had it, I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't somebody tell me about this? And so I had a 3-hour massage, which is heaven for me. And so what we would do is we'd go to the temple one day, and this is in 5 days. And then the next day we'd go to the very expensive hotel, to the spa. We do 3-hour massage there. So for 5 days we did this. So we had 15 hours of massage in 5 days. And in that experience, she took me to all the temples. She was a great person to travel with, knew so much she had lived in Japan. So it was just super fun. She knew how to be in the temple. We went to temples. And what happened for me during this experience is I calmed down. At that time, our business was international. It was busy. I had big teams and was just exhausted in many ways. And busy, always caught up in something. And I was out of my experience. I was in another culture. I think that was also a huge piece of it. And then with these people, and remember the maid, she would cook every day. We'd sit on the floor, we'd drink our wine, eat this amazing food. And so I just had this relaxation I've never felt in my life before. And when I relaxed, I saw my life. And I got so peaceful and calm during that time. And so it made a huge shift in my perspective. I walked back into my life and I knew I was going to go back in there, and it's crazy, right? And I remember when I went back in, I was so calm, and I went in, and then the ladies that worked with me in my office came out. They started giving me all these problems, sharing with me everything, and I just didn't engage. And I said, how are you going to handle that? And then my partner, he tried to, normally when he gets this look on his face, I'd go, what's wrong? And try to help him. He had the look. I was like off doing something else. So I stopped engaging. It was amazing. And I brought a lot of what I learned there back into my family. Remember, Makena, I used to make you guys sit on the floor. We had our beautiful group tables. And then I brought that into my work. I had one time at an Arts of Woman, I themed it around the Thai. I did one that was Arts of Women Japanese. And I brought in these elements that I learned and felt, even the music, everything from being there. And so it was just this beautiful experience that really, again, resonated with me and who I am. And I was able to bring that into my family and then also into my work. And because there was such a receptivity in the Thai people. And I have to say too, that when I met Danijela, she has that kind of receptivity. And when first time I ever met Danijela, I saw there's something really special about this woman. And I saw she should be famous. I mean, she absolutely should. She has something to share in the world. So that was mine. Yeah.
I think what's really powerful about that story is, well, many things, but one is you share that piece of when women relax or they get outside of their life for a time. We talk about this in terms of our retreats because they're longer experiences where you really get to have that time and space in a beautiful location. But even in a short, what I love about your story was only 5 days. And even in 2 days, like this event, it's this chance to, when do we get to get fully outside of our lives and look from a different perspective and connect with other women. There's something so powerful about that for women, right? Releasing oxytocin and dancing and all the things that we'll be doing is just, it doesn't take you know, I had a powerful experience. I won't go into the whole story right now, but some of you have heard me tell it about going to Costa Rica a couple of years ago and having this also in a matter of a couple of days where you and I were walking on the beach every day, we were talking and we relaxed in this certain way and we looked. So instead of trying to figure something out, the vision just came through for what was next.
And that's a great distinction, because in this event, that's what we're doing different, is we're not going to try to figure it out. Yeah. So you're going to come to it through the exercises, through the energy, through what we're going to do. And you're going to see life very differently if you come. So, yeah.
And through the meditations with Danijela and looking at, how do you create that frequency shift? And through that shift, or that perspective shift, you could call it, that's where it comes through. That's what we say on the website, right? Danijela, you had this beautiful metaphor about coming to the top of a mountain or a hill. Do you want to tell that real quick?
Sure. Yes. That's what I also love about the work is that we don't have to, you know, if you're in a, how do you say the,
not a meadow or like a valley.
Thank you. Yeah. So you just see hills around you. So and when you start climbing, the further you climb, you see further and further. And when you're on the top of the hill, you see everything. Right. And so I love this.
Yeah, and that's when we talk about vibration, that's part of it. The more, again, in the class, in terms of building and elevating the vibration, that's what happens, is that, you know, clarity dawns, right? You see,
Absolutely.
and you have the energy to go out and do it too. So, yeah.
So I want to
ask for some questions, Makena, or what?
Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody have any questions from anything we've shared so far on Facebook here or on Zoom? Just comment or put it in the chat. Everybody's just listening. There's so many A names. I love it. Many of you are A names. All right, we don't see any right now, but if you have any questions, put them in the chat about, you know, what we're talking about as far as space healing and self-expression and perspective shifts or anything else. So I want to talk a little bit about the event itself, because we've hinted at it and shared a little bit, and then I'll reveal to you all what this fun character exercise was about. So it's a 2-day event, like we said, September 28th and 29th here in Austin, Texas. We're hosting it at the gorgeous Hotel Grand Duca, which is in the hills just outside of Austin, about 15 minutes. And it's an amazing opportunity, like I said, to step outside of your life, connect with other really high vibe women from around the country, possibly around the world. And day 1 of the event is Danijela will be primarily leading, and that is called Elevate Your Space. And day 2 will be Gigi and I primarily, and that is Self-Express for Success. So many of the themes that we've been talking about here will be diving deeper into and giving you actually exercises and meditations and different kinds of things to create learning, I think, on one side, but like Gigi said, it's about much more than learning or skills or figuring something out from the mind. It's really about this experiential shift. And so Danijela, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about Elevate Your Space and what that means and what does that look like for people when they go through this kind of process or learn about this work, what changes for them?
Yes, so as you were talking, I just wanted to share a situation where I, for the very first time, experienced what it means to connect to your home. So I started just working with the space healing, and I can remember I was lying on the beach and I was in a meditation. It just happened, and I felt my home. I connected to it. I started talking to it like to a friend, and I even started moving furniture around. So and it was so set in my mind. When I came home, I fell over the bed, because I was so clear that everything's changed, right? So we don't have to be in our homes, you know, to start changing the energy. And that's, I think, very special about the event. So we are not going to move furniture around or something, but along this connection. And that's very surprising to me also when I see that people don't realize that their home doesn't nurture them. So yes, we sleep there and we work somewhere else and we eat at home and so, but it just has to nurture you. Like a plant needs water to be nurtured. That's what we need from our home. It's the water, it's the sunshine, it's everything what we need to rejuvenate. It's like an oasis, right? So and this is the heart of what I will be doing in this day, different strategies and possibilities how we can
and
connect.
you really teach them how to see that. And I think a lot of times when people think in typical feng shui that it means you have to go buy a bunch of new furniture and you have to, and that's not it at all, right?
No, absolutely not.
Simple little changes. And then also with what you've created with the space healing, you know, it's also learning, like you said, to how to see in your home and how to understand, you know, which is awesome. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think for those of you too, who, if you facilitate events or you host or anything like that, this is such a powerful tool set to have as well, because you can create an environment for transformation or for connection or whatever it is that you want to do. Before we move on, I just want to hear a little bit about what changes for people as a result of doing this work, you know, in general, working with you or learning about space healing. What kinds of shifts do you see in people's lives?
So I could say they start really loving their home. It's not, I like going into a hotel because it's nicer. No. You love to stay at your home and then you go sometimes to a hotel. So it's really this connection. And it's usually that the people, they say, oh, when I come home, I feel embraced and I can let go so much faster. And through this relaxation, I start seeing things in my life differently. And I start recognizing maybe solutions or opportunities crossing my way because I have the possibility to really let go in my home and be who I am. So this is the biggest shift I experience with clients when I work with them.
You've also talked about, I know in stories you've told me about shifts even in people's health or job opportunities, or like you said, things that were stuck in their life. Whether it was that money wasn't coming in for a long time, just opening up all of a sudden. So awesome. And so in day 2, do you want to share a little bit more about that, Gigi, about self-express for success and what happens for people when they do this? We've touched on this a little bit already.
Well, people, when you go out, you're going to be more magnetic for sure. And then also we'll really dig in deep to see what is a self-expression for you, you know, and this is also about your business. If you have a business, you know, how do you bring more of that into your business so you are in alignment with who you are and you're showing that in your business, and that's going to bring more money, right? And you'll earn more and you'll have more energy, more vitality, and you'll feel more fulfilled and alive. And I also want to say, even if you work for a company, you know, come to the event, or even we're inviting some people, women-owned businesses, bring your female team, because the women can really see what is that they can share from their self-expression in the business, because that also sets the business apart. When you have people participating in such a way, they're sharing part of who they are, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and some of the fun things we'll be doing are having the ladies dress to self-express, right? So coming in, clothes that make you feel fully expressed. We're going to really go into more tangibly into clarity about what that looks like for you, like Gigi said, vision for what you want to step into, and then some action steps so you really walk out of there clear. And like we said, the friendships are such a big part of it, and the community and the connections. Like I said, looking back at that event I went to years ago, and many I've gone to since, events are one of my favorite ways to create community. There's just nothing like the in-person. And we often don't have places in our lives where we can tap into an incredible, you know, high vibe, supportive group of women. And that's really what, you know, this event and many others can create for you is that opportunity to connect in person and form those hopefully lifelong friendships. So, anything else you ladies want to share? Any questions? Anybody? It could be about the event. It doesn't have to. It could be about anything we shared today as well.
Yeah, and I'll just say too that you're really going to walk out, like you said, with a plan. So you'll have your self-expression plan, right? And that's going to create more confidence in you. And, you know, the one thing is you'll stop comparing yourself and stop questioning yourself.
Such a big one. Yeah, we all get stuck in
women, right?
Yeah, even I do. And it's
that one.
It's great to catch yourself, because if you catch yourself comparing to others, then I think that, and we all go there, we all definitely have those moments, right? Myself included. But when I catch myself doing that, I go, something in me isn't feeling fully self-expressed, because why am I wouldn't have my attention there if I was fully embodying who I am and what I want to be sharing in the world. So that's a good little catch when you're like on social media or something like that, and you're like, oh, look what they're doing. It's like, how can you get in yourself? And that's what we're going to do in this event, and really be expressing that more and more in the world, which ties into our exercise we shared with you all. So I don't see any questions right now. If you have any, drop them in the box. But I do want to go back to this exercise. So some of you shared your person, whether it was a character. Most of you, I think, shared a real person, not a character. So
nice.
Here's what this exercise is all about. I had a marketing mentor of mine share this with me many years ago, and he had us go through this whole list. Actually, it was, character in a book. It was all these different categories. So he had us write them all down, and he had us write down the qualities we admired in those people. And then he revealed at the end, which is what I want to do for all of you, that the qualities you admire most in others are qualities that exist within you that may or may not be actualized yet. And so if you read back over what you wrote, if you wrote it down for yourself or you wrote it in this chat box, that is a quality that exists within you that, maybe it's actualized already. Often it's something that when we feel that like yearning or that admiration feeling, it means that there's more to be actualized there for ourselves. And that would be the next step for you in terms of self-expression. So Ashley, you said her zest for life, which is definitely something I see in you. And
absolutely,
and something Ashley, that you're stepping more and more into. Esther Perel, so you said she's authentic and stylish speaker and an inspiring author based on scientific research. So I'm guessing that there's aspects of that for you, Brenda, that are inside of you. I'm just going to share a couple more. Pia said Marie Curie, how do you pronounce that? I always forget. Because she followed her passion to be a scientist in a time that it was not a role where women were seen in. She followed her dream and was persistent to find what she deep down knew had to exist. So whether or not you want to be a scientist, still that persistence and that following her dreams to express what it is she wanted to express in the world is something for you. And then I want to just share, Holly on Facebook said, Sansa Stark, or we did have a fictional character from Game of Thrones. She said she was underestimated most of her life, and despite some really horrible and horrific experiences, she learned, adapted, and became a truly wise, intelligent, and resilient leader. And Holly, I know we just had a call yesterday, and I absolutely see that for you, that that's something you're stepping into, maybe not the tragic experiences, but that you are stepping into really a phase of leadership and so on. All right, we've got one more I'm going to share because I just love this. Robin said, Leslie, nope. I love her enthusiasm and tenacity. She always puts 110% into everything she does, never gives up, and encourages everyone to follow her dreams. That's absolutely something then that exists within you as well. So that's just a fun little exercise for you all.
Aren't they supposed to take one of those characteristics out and go for it?
Sure. tell them what to do, Gigi. Go for it. I don't know. I've got notes here. I've forgotten.
Yeah, I would, ladies. I would take one thing that you see in that person, and this week you start trying. Do it. Start implementing something.
I decided to wear high heels.
Oh,
yeah. Awesome. I do see one question here, which is about the Q&A, Susan. So we will be sending it out. I don't know if I think if you got this, you're on our email list. If you're not, you can go to yourluminalife.com, yourluminalife.com/community. And we will be sending it out to our list. You can also go on Facebook. If you go to my Facebook profile, which is facebook.com/MakenaSagePersonal, and you can see the replay of the Facebook Live there. So either one of those will work to catch the replay.
You want to say that a little slower?
Yeah. I'm going to just type it in the chat for you guys. So
Simone says she's waiting for her red. Oh, she's wearing her red lipstick.
Oh yeah. So Simone was in Thailand with us at the Arts of a Woman, and she embodied this incredible, oh my gosh, so transformed. She never would wear red lipstick before, And then we got her in the red lipstick for her photo shoot. She looked so sexy.
And
now
she hasn't stopped wearing it.
Yep, she hasn't stopped wearing it since. So.
And she became, oh my gosh, the most sensual, sexy. I mean, she already was, but she wasn't embodying it. Now she is. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it can be personal, it can be professional, whatever area you want to be more self-expressed in. All right. This is so fun.
So fun. Thank you so much. My first Facebook Live.
Yeah, you did awesome. You too, Danijela. And thank you all for being on here live. It's so fun to have you here. And if you think of any questions after the fact, you can comment on Facebook or email us. I'll drop my email in here as well if you guys want to write these down before we pop in here. And I'll put them on Facebook as well in case you have any questions. Super excited. Hope you guys can join us. Oh, I do want to mention one last thing. In fact, let me just pull up the page real quick before we go. Just going to share my screen and pull up the page. So the website, which I don't think we even gave out, is elevateyourbvibelive.com or Your Lumina Life. Either one will go here, /elevate. And you can look at all the details here. And just to share that the event has an early bird. So until July 1st, it's only $397, which is incredible for the 2 days. And then starting July 1st, it'll go up to $497. So I really recommend, if you can make it out, to sign up in the near future so you can take advantage of that early bird rate. And this, shares all about the event. Here's where we're hosting it. So definitely take a look at that.
If you don't live there, come and join us anyways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come have a girls' weekend.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, ladies. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
And
thanks, Danijela.
Thank you, Gigi. Thank you, Makena. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.